Hey, Jody. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good.
Hang on.
Good.
There we go. I'm good.
Yeah, yeah. How was your Monday?
Stressful.
What's going on?
Oh, just the last couple days. Just been just emotional being so close to Buffalo.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah. What's this world coming to?
I know, makes you wonder, doesn't it?
I know, I know. Oh, it's sad out there. I know. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you know,
oh, we've
I
had
went
so
through the
much.
crowd
Right.
last year.
Karen.
You guys.
Yeah. Karen's there, right? Karen, you can hear me?
Yeah,
Right. Hey, hey. Good. You're just the things that have been happening in this world with these shootings and
oh, yeah. Horrible.
and
Yeah, just emotional couple days. That's all. Stressful.
yeah. Did you
Are
know
you in
me?
Buffalo, Jody? Are you in Buffalo?
I'm just south of Buffalo.
Oh, my son's in Buffalo. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Salamanca, which is about
Oh,
an
yeah.
hour south.
Yep, I know where that is.
Your son, everything good?
Yep, yep, he's good.
Good.
Scary.
Yeah, it is.
Ugh. I'm just noticing Karen's shoulders. Do you see that, Jody?
Yeah, very nice.
Wow.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I've
Impressive.
seen that. I'm like, whoa, looking good. I love it.
Fine.
I love it. I love it. Very cool. Yeah. So it's, yeah. So like, with the Bucks being in the playoffs, they would have this great big party down in, they call it the Deer District. And well, they lost, but what they did is they used to have like police presence and stuff like that and security and all that. And so for game 6, they had like 11,000 people in this area. And then another whatever is in the stadium, right? But there were shootings down there during that 6th game. People were killed. So then they didn't have it for this last game. So, I mean, it's just like, what are people thinking? Like,
What is going on?
I know.
They just don't care,
I know.
Terrible.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
That's
It's crazy.
awful.
It's crazy. So,
I mean, like this kid was 18. He's 18. What in the world?
I know.
How do you at 18 you're that hateful and that such a
Right.
lack of respect for life? I don't understand.
Yep. We have that young girl in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, which is along the Mississippi. 14-year-old strangled her, and 14, a family, someone she knew.
Oh, yeah, just
Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know.
It's so hard to wrap your brain around.
Yeah, I know. How do you explain that?
Yeah,
Crazy stuff.
absolutely.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we just do the best we can to live in this life in this world and take care of ourselves and our family, and as much as we have control over. And one thing I wanted to mention to you guys, so Pat in Florida,
Yeah.
say your prayers for her and her family. She's another devastating loss. I don't know. I don't really have her permission to say, but she did tell us about her brother and her sister. Her brother had the stroke, and then he's moving in with her.
Yep.
And her sister then fell and broke her shoulder. That was at the end of that call.
Yeah.
She's now in a rehab facility because she can't take care of herself because, you break your shoulder and she doesn't have anybody out there.
Yeah.
And then she had another recent, very, very close tragedy. And so say your prayers for her. So
Absolutely.
I think it'll be a little while before she's on a call again too. So just a lot of people are having some family stuff right now, like in Heidi's family, and just stuff going on. So and then people are on vacation too, which is good too. So lots of stuff. But what I wanted to just kind of talk about plateaus, right? So yeah, and I know I've talked about this before. I don't know if it's been in this group or if it was I just have to find my document. I've got about 1,000 things open. It should pop up here. There we go. But it's always good to revisit because it happens to everybody, plateaus. And so the biggest thing that when it happens when you're status quo is don't go back to those bad habits, because you're just really going to be starting over. You know, you're just going to be back to square one sometimes. Sometimes that happens. But it happens to everyone. And you know, it happens really for no reason except that your body just gets used to it, right? Slows down and sometimes it stalls, and you just have to know how to respond when that happens so that you don't go back to those old habits. And a lot of times it happens because your body is used to it. Even though you're still eating really, really well and you're working out, there's things that happen to the body. The body adjusts so easy to things that then it just kind of stalls, it stays still. And so there's things that we can do. And one of the reasons why, at first, when you start a new program, if you will, and you really are kind of watching your calories and things like that, you drop weight quite a bit. Like all of a sudden you just drop, and you're like, ooh, you know, you're motivated and all that. And the reason why that happens is the body gets the energy from releasing all the glycogen. And it's a carbohydrate that's found in your muscles and your liver. And it's also made up of water. And so when glycogen is burned for energy, it releases the water. And so some of that weight loss is mostly water. And it's temporary. And then as you lose weight, some of the muscle goes along with the fat. That's just normal. And then that's why eventually we start to build that muscle up, and then that will help your metabolism stay up. So that's kind of what happens at first. But then as you're losing weight, your metabolism drops off a little bit, and then you start to burn fewer calories than you did when you were heavier. It's just normal. So who was I talking to this morning? Oh, it was Hillary. She's in Alaska. But she was struggling a little bit too with being in a plateau. And so I'm working with her to change a few things, but so you have someone who's 300 pounds and they come on and they start doing, you know, on a journey like this, it's nothing for them to lose 25, 30 pounds, like boom, like it goes really, really fast for them. But even when you guys started, you probably dropped 7 pounds just like that, you know, and then maybe another 3, and then it kind of, I mean, the goal is a pound a week. Doesn't always happen because your body then starts to get used to those things. So as your metabolism slows down, so does the weight loss, even if you eat the same amount of calories and all of that. So there's things that we can do to change that. One is you can increase your physical activity and or decrease the calories that you're eating. And so with both of you, we've done a few of those things. At first, sometimes you'll stay status quo, but then eventually you'll start to go back and you'll start to lose a little bit, but it's not going to be as drastic. So there's also things that you want to ask yourself too. Are you satisfied with your weight? When most people aren't, they're like, I get this plateau, but I have whatever it is, 10, 15, 20 pounds, maybe more to lose. So then we just have to adjust that weight loss program. So especially for women of our age, we really have to look at what that means for us. Because if you're at a plateau and you're 25 years old, it's not going to take much to make your body's metabolism go up, because you still have fully functioning estrogen and progesterone and testosterone and all that. So what can we do? And so a lot of these same tips are the same for us as they are for somebody else, but it may just take a few more tweaks and a few more changes. And so but there's also some other things that you can do to get past that plateau. Again, reassess your habits. You know, sometimes we get away from measuring, we get away from weighing our food because we think we've been doing this long enough and we know what a portion looks like. And then what happens is when you go back to measuring and weighing, you're like, oh, I was estimating more. And I use the thing with so if you take a scoop of peanut butter out, but like a tablespoon, it's just so small, right? Like, oh my God, that's just a tablespoon. But if you're not measuring, you can eat more than what you think you're eating. And so just making sure you're measuring and weighing and all those kinds of things. Now there's going to be times that you're not able to do that. And I get that, it happens to me too. And that's when you just use your best judgment. So, and the other thing, of course, sometimes eating more processed food, getting less exercise. And that happens when like you've got family things happening and all of that, you kind of get into a little bit of that, but that's not like your everyday lifestyle. So that's, you know, another thing, go back and look at those habits. Are you exercising less than you did when you first started? What are you doing for exercise? How many times a week? All of that kind of stuff. The other thing is cut your calories back a little bit, but we don't want to go below the 1200. I think that sometimes, depending on the person, if they're very short, sometimes you have to go a little bit below that, but you don't want to stay there. So you've probably heard of these medical weight loss programs where they're eating 500 calories a day for a long period of time.
Yes.
And they do lose weight, but they lose a lot of muscle mass.
Mhm.
I've seen, you know, very, very obese people. That's sometimes what you need to get them to the point where they can do some exercise, because if they're that big, they really aren't able to. But I've also seen them use that type of caloric restriction on somebody who maybe isn't, like maybe they're 250, you know, or something like that. And that of course isn't life sustaining, because the minute you start increasing your calories and they're so hungry, they just kind of go down the wrong path. So you just don't want to decrease it, because then there's that risk of overeating. But also when you're tracking your calories and you're weighing and you're doing all that, it's going to provide you some accountability as to what you're eating. So I've been doing this for a long, long time, and I still will weigh my food. Because I'm not always, especially when it comes to like a larger piece of meat like chicken or pork, because it depends on how much water's in it and you know, additional fat and things like that. Ground turkey and ground chicken isn't so difficult to do. But things like those tuna packs or salmon packs, that's pretty spot on what's in there. So another thing you can do to get past that plateau would be to rev up your workout. There's a minimum of exercise that's recommended per week. But of course, you want to spread your exercise out through the week. You don't want to be like killing yourself one day and not be able to walk for the next 3 or 4. And you guys already know that. I'm just going to grab Laura here. But of course, adding exercise is such as weightlifting to increase your muscle mass is going to help you burn more calories. And that's what I'm a very big proponent of, especially women. And, you know, there's osteoporosis and there's other health conditions that you can get when you're just doing aerobics or cardio or whatever that is. So, but to able to really, really, increase that weight loss, get past that plateau, would be, they recommend at least 300 minutes a week for greater health benefits as well. So when you think about your workouts, even if you're doing 60 minutes a day, you know, 5 days a week, that would really, really kick it in. And you guys are probably doing that. Pack more activity into your day. So the walking, and you guys all have your steps goal, use your car less. And it's a good time because gas is so crazy depending on where you have to go, right?
Yeah.
My mom was saying, we went to a bridal shower yesterday, and she was saying that, so their dog likes to go for rides in the car. So my dad will take, I don't know, they're retired. They don't have anything else to do. So they take their dog for rides. I don't know, whatever. But the dog's getting less and less rides because the gas is too expensive. So now they're walking her more. So it's good. It's good for them, more exercise, but it's kind of funny.
They need a moped.
Yeah, right. I mean, like a scooter or something. Oh man, I know. But you know, like the cleaning that you do around your house, I mean, just admit, I mean, you probably see that your steps are higher when you're cleaning and doing things like that, washing your car, you know, that kind of thing. So that always will burn more calories too, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, Laura, nice to see you. Of course, managing your stress, and we talk about that in many aspects. over and over. But what happens is your body will produce cortisol, which is that stress hormone, which will lead to indulging in comfort foods and food cravings and all of that. And then how your body responds to it is increased belly fat storage. And it's much more stronger of an effect in women, but it happens to men too. Sometimes men are, have that happen too. And it's not just the beer gut from drinking. It's could be stress too going on in their life. So, and that's also, we'll get to the sleep, to getting enough sleep, because if you're not getting enough sleep, that's the same vicious cycle. So if you're stressed, you're not sleeping, because they kind of go hand in hand. That cortisol is really going to be driven pretty high. So you just want to be aware of that. And of course, managing your stress are those same things we've talked about over and over. It's the journaling, it's the going out and walking, taking some time to yourself. Obviously lifting, your weights and doing your workouts and eating well, it's all going to help manage that stress. Stress is always a part of our life. It's when we were just talking about the beginning, how the world is and how stressful it is. But managing that and being able to control the things that you can control. So that's a huge one. Another thing we can do to try busting through a plateau is intermittent fasting. And I know Jody's been doing that. It will help you consume fewer calories because you only have a certain window of eating. Now, when you guys are intermittent fasting, I want you to still get your calories in. But for someone who maybe is not watching, a total calories, it does decrease that a little bit for them. But you're also going to be, because you're eating your calories, I want you to, you're still going to maintain your muscle mass. And then it really, really helps preserve that metabolic rate when you're losing weight. Some people do really, really well with fasting, and it can be done in many, many different ways. Other people don't do well with fasting. You have to get past a couple days, like 2 or 3 days of it, to really feel like the benefits of it and feel like you can do it. But it is, I've tried it. I personally struggle with it. So I'm one of those people that really do struggle with it. But I do it just to try something different. And it does help increase my metabolism too. I just don't do it that frequently. I maybe do it once a quarter or something like that. So that's something that Jody's doing it. Heidi's doing the fasting too right now. I'm trying to think. I think there's a couple other people too. Alcohol can interfere with weight loss because of the empty calories, and it makes it easier to overeat, which increases your belly fat storage. So when it's all those inhibitions that go away when you're drinking, and then you're starving, you get the munchies, and then it's, midnight and you're throwing a pizza down and potato chips and all that kind of stuff. And so now that doesn't mean that you can't ever drink, you want to kind of plan for that, but it can interfere with weight loss, and especially if it's a daily consumption. So that's just one of those things, the empty calories. Eating more fiber, of course, your vegetables, fruits, really, really good sources of fiber, because what it does is it slows the movement through your digestive tract, just like fats do. That will decrease your appetite, which can reduce the number of calories that you feel like you want to eat and that your body absorbs from the food. So I love dates, the unpitted dates. You just have to be careful, because there's a fair amount of carbohydrates in dates. So like 6 or 7 dates, it's about 30 carbs. Dates really are good for increasing your fiber. So that's important. Fiber, you want to be, for a woman of our age, 20 to 25 grams of fiber at least a day. That's also helps with your bowel movements and that kind of thing. But eating more fiber also helps increase your metabolism, and of course that will burn belly fat. So some people struggle though when you increase your fiber, that it can be really rough on the stomach. So just be really mindful of that too. Of course, drink water, coffee, or tea. It'll boost your metabolic rate. It is, of course, then that assists with your weight loss. Caffeine has caffeine and an antioxidant. I'm not going to try and pronounce this word, but EGCG, it's found in green tea, that will promote fat burning. So when they say to drink green tea, And coffee, I mean, be careful with your coffee and the caffeine effect too. But that also is really good for fat burning. It's also a good pre-workout too. Like if you need that extra boost before your workout, I probably wouldn't stay away from, unless you're drinking like a decaf coffee or tea. I wouldn't do that at night if you're working out at night, because then you won't sleep. So most people struggle with that. They're having too much caffeine. And then there's the protein, you know, and make sure you're spreading your protein intake throughout the day. And you guys know that. And the reason is obviously your metabolism, which have enough protein builds lean muscle, la 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 la. So you want to have at least 20, even to 25 grams of protein at every meal. So it's like the 3 meals a day. Even your snacks could be protein. And then sleep. Because also if you're not getting enough sleep, your hormones aren't recovering, and that's not the right word. Your hormones aren't being produced. So your human growth hormone, your testosterone, all of that, which will help you burn fat and lose weight. So sleep, veggies, eat veggies at every meal. So like my dinner and my lunch typically are tons of vegetables and protein, big, huge salad, lots of vegetables and protein. I do eat my carbs too, but I tend to eat my carbs earlier in the day. Everybody's a little bit different. Like carbs, sweet potatoes and things like that. I'll have that at night too, once in a while, but tons and tons and tons of vegetables, because they're lots of nutrients, right? Not a lot of calories, and low in carbs too. Your fruits are a little higher in carbs, bananas and things. Strawberries, like berries, are a little bit lower in carbs. And then you guys know this too, don't rely on the scale alone. It doesn't reflect the loss of your body fat, right?
True.
It's how you feel, how your clothes fit, your measurements, all of that kind of stuff. It's a lot of those non-scale victories. It's the improved energy. It's the feel better than you ever have. It's like, oh, I mowed the lawn this year and last year I couldn't have done it the way, I mean, I've heard that already, you know. And same with just a couple ladies that own horse farms and things like that, like, you know, baling hay and cleaning out pens and things like that has gotten easier for them. So those are the really cool things that you're like, just so think about all of that too. So, and Jody, like riding your motorcycle, being stronger on your motorcycle and having that more confidence, that's important for safety. Yeah. But it also feels good too, you know, from where you were last year. So it's all that kind of good stuff. So again, don't let it lead to this big avalanche, and it's very frustrating and can be demoralizing sometimes, like, oh my gosh, the scale isn't going to budge. But it's a normal part of the process, and everyone experiences it at some point. And realize too, every change that we make, it takes your adrenal glands and your hormones a little bit to go, okay, what's going on? We are a little bit older, so it's going to take a little bit of time. And so that journey, you know, it's a process. It's something that you're just, that's going to be your lifestyle, right? You don't want to go back to where you were before. So it's a process. It's part of that journey. Because, you know, honestly, you've already improved your diet and increased your exercise. You've already improved your health. Even modest weight loss is going to improve like those chronic health conditions. So you talk about hypertension, talk about, you know, all the things that obesity can cause, you know, heart disease, diabetes, unable to sleep, you know, inactivity, just, you know, all that, having a stroke, those kinds of things. So don't give up. So don't go back to the old eating and exercise habits, like no exercise, because you do not want to regain the weight that you've lost, because what happens then, you're probably going to gain more than where you were before. So celebrate the successes that you guys have had, and you guys have had really, I mean, great successes, and then just continue to do that. And it says weight loss, but it's about fat loss too. It's really fat loss at this point. So as you're transitioning in, you know, you're building more muscle and you're still burning fat, your muscle, and I don't know if I described this to you, your muscle's going to hold more water at that point, because the more muscle you have, the more water you have. So the more weight, the scale will weigh more because of all that. But your measurements and your clothes should still fit good. And like for me, I struggled. I wanted to be between 120 pounds and 125, always, always, always. But as I've done this and put more muscle on, I need to be 130 to 135. I'm still wearing the same size clothes. It's proportion different. So sometimes I have to, I don't know if you guys have trouble with the waist is really, really big, but the butt and the thighs fit really good, but your waist is like, if that's a problem, I mean, I'd rather have that problem than the love handles, right? And so as you go along this journey, your body is going to transform like it's never done before. And you've already seen it. Like maybe a shirt, you're like, oh my gosh, my shirt's feeling a little snug, or my jacket. And it's not because you're fat. It's because you put on muscle in those areas. And women don't like to feel, most women don't want to feel that like, oh, they feel tight. But it's muscle that you're building that will maybe make it tight. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As I've worked with women that I don't want to feel tight. Well, you may have to buy jeans that are a little bit different, and you're probably not gonna be able to fit in junior jeans. You might have to go to Mrs. or whatever, you know, but it doesn't mean you're fat. And so that's really hard for people to understand. You know, like the size 1 and 3 and 5 and all that. That's when we're women, we're going to have curves. We most likely can't wear those anymore. We're not like the stick. There are women that are like that, right? But majority of us don't have that. And so as your body transforms through this journey, your clothes take on different, ways of fitting. So I have a range of sizes just depending on where I'm at. And sometimes it can be frustrating, but then I go, okay, well, look at where I was and now look at where I am. And so you just have to be comfortable where you're at. It's really being in tune to your body, how your body feels and what's right for you, not what the chart says, so just like your basal or your BMI, when you go to the doctor and they look at your weight and your height and all that and your BMI, when you take a bodybuilder who's in amazing shape and you put him on the scale and you look at his height or her height, their BMIs are off the chart. That doesn't mean they're obese. So that's just a marker. So you have to be careful with that. And our medical society, they look at that. The minute they see the BMI of 30, they're like, oh my gosh, she's obese or he's obese. And that may not even be the case. So, but that's our medical, that's how they learn. And so to me, that doesn't make any sense. So
I don't have a whole lot of faith in them anymore anyway.
I know.
I mean, I seriously don't. I've lost a lot of respect. I've lost a lot of respect for these people that are that I refer to it as they're practicing on me. And that's exactly how I look at it now. And say,
Right. Yeah. Right. I know. And being a nurse and working in the medical field, most of us nurses would get so upset with physicians when they'd want to just throw another medication at somebody. And you're like, oh, for heaven's sakes, like for me, I've been experiencing these heart palpitations and they're driving me nuts. And so I'm watching my caffeine, I'm watching my alcohol, my sleep's been So I went in to see my doctor, who I don't normally see very often because I'm, knock on wood, pretty healthy, and did an EKG and labs and everything's good. But now they want to schedule me for a Holter monitor, just to watch, to see. Do you know when I can get my Holter monitor? In the middle of June.
Whoa. Gosh.
Yeah. And so I said to the lady, and it's not her fault, she's the scheduler. I said, I'm really glad this isn't urgent. But today I'm sitting here and I'm feeling them.
Yeah.
And so it'd be really neat if I could have gotten it today. So you know what's going to happen? I'll get it in June and I'll have nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But our healthcare system, really, and in Wisconsin, we have amazing healthcare systems and providers. But I'm like, oh my gosh, middle of June. So about a month. Maybe they'll go away by that time and I won't need it. So it'll be cheaper. So there's probably a reason why, but I was like, holy crap, like what?
I do have some questions on the Plateau.
Yes.
Portion of this. So as an example, I've increased my cardio.
Yeah.
So I'm up and out the door at 6:30 in the morning. I do a minimum of a really brisk walk of about 25 to 30 minutes. Then there's the stairs that I've talked about at the park. 18 steps. I run literally up and down those at a very brisk pace. Today was 12 times. So normally it's about 10. So I did an extra 2 today because I got interrupted yesterday by some weirdo. So
there's a lot of those in the world too.
So I saw him come and went, I'm out. So, I do that every morning. And then I'm usually doing my workout in the afternoon. I go to the gym, that's a good, normally about 45 minutes that I'm putting in. So you figure that's 5 days a week. The other 2 days a week, I'm still doing the walking and running the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
My calories, 1,450-ish, a day, getting my water in, for the most part, getting my steps in, or pretty darn close to it if I don't exceed it. And this plateau has been not only is it a plateau, it's my weight's going up. I mean, and not just a little bit. The lowest I got down to was at Christmas time, 152.8, and I'm at 159.
Okay.
To me, that's significant.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, that word demoralizing, like really hit home, because it's extremely frustrating and upsetting to me that I am not just stuck, but going in the opposite direction. And I'm like, I don't know is going on.
Yeah. So let me ask you a couple things.
Yeah.
Do you think we're over training? Are you tired? Are you?
Yes, I'm very fatigued lately.
Yeah.
If I sit down for any length of time, I fall asleep.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you're overtraining. So what happens when you're overtraining, your cortisol levels can go up because you're overdoing it. Your sleep might not be as restful as it should be.
Yep.
So I think we need to look at you're working out 5 days a week as far as lifting.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're doing cardio every single day.
Yeah. Cause the cardiologist wanted me to do 30 minutes, minimum of 30 minutes of walking. So I'm not running. I've made it a point to not jog and not run. But I am walking at a brisk pace, but it's not a power walk by any stretch. It's just I get out, and then at the end, I spend, like I said, the 5 minutes up and down the stairs, which that's kind of new recently, because it's been a while. I stopped walking because the weather was just so crappy.
Right.
Here.
Does he want you walking every day, Monday through Sunday? 30 minutes?
Yep.
Okay. And that's okay, the walking. And then you're lifting 5 days a week?
Yeah. So, I'm not heavy lifting. I usually, I'm dumbbells, extensions, maybe the wide grip lat pull down, the narrow grip for the delts. The Smith machine, I'll do the shoulder presses, hip thrust with the weight I use the Smith machine, use the weights on that. So, because if I'm there by myself, I can at least block it so it doesn't get down too far. I can get out from underneath it if I need to. But the actual using the hex bar, I only do twice a week. I give myself plenty of time to rest in between and recover, because, I was up to 145 pounds, 3 sets of 10, 145 pounds.
Wow. So this is, and we can talk more on Wednesday, but if this helps today, do your walking, because I don't want you to, that's the cardiologist telling you to do that. So I would keep doing that, when you can, like, get outside. I wouldn't do the Don't do any more cardio than that.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'm wondering if you go down to 4 days a week
Okay.
with your lifting, and just let's see them get you so you're not so exhausted. So that's what was happening with Pat too. It was, then we just cut her down and all of a sudden things moved a little bit. So, so let's do that. And you can do whatever 4 days you want. We can talk a little bit more on Wednesday when we get on the phone, but and do your walking, because I don't want you to like disregard what he wants you to do.
And that's kind of a peaceful thing for me too. That's
right.
Because I listen to music when I walk. So it's a double-edged thing.
Right.
You know, I'm getting a little bit of cardio in, I'm getting the walk in for the heart health, but it's also the mental and emotional thing for me by listening to music that I enjoy.
I do the same thing. It's good. The other thing would be knowing that because you are lifting and you're lifting heavy, you are putting more muscle on, which is going to increase that water, the water weight and the muscle weight. So, and now you're taking the water pill now. Has that helped?
No, no, because, and I'll tell you why, because they took me off the hydrochlorothiazide, which in essence is a prescription water pill. But then they said, just get one over the counter. Well, if I take what it says to take, 1 to 2, up to 4 times a day, up to. Now, I don't do that because one pill has the equivalent of 2 cups of coffee in it. So if I take 2, there's
the Lord.
8. Yeah. And I won't.
No wonder you're running up and down the steps.
Yeah. And I won't sleep.
Right.
So I'm like,
oh, that's silly.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure this out. So I've got this weird stuff going on with the water in my system, and
that might be part of it. Why don't they just give you like Lasix or something?
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that. I see them next week.
Yeah. Like a small dose, because that might just do it for you. And so that might be part of it too. But I still think, I feel bloated in my belly today. I had a dress on today that was yellow, and I said, I feel like a lumpy banana. Oh no.
I mean, even though I had on like the compression slip and everything to smooth everything out, I was like, I feel like a lumpy banana.
Yeah. So I bet that all of this is
all tied together.
Yeah. So, but I still, get you, obviously you're going to work on the water thing, but let's cut down to 4 days and just do your 30 minutes and let's see if we can get you so you're not so exhausted. And I believe that will help for sure.
Doing okay on the intermittent fasting. And actually, sometimes I don't feel like I need all of those calories. I'm not hungry. Yeah. I get to the end of the day and I'm like, I still have 200 calories I'm supposed to get in. Right. If I don't, though, I won't sleep at night because I wake up hungry. And I'm like,
Right. Those are all really good questions. So, yeah, let's do that. And then when we talk on Wednesday, if you have any more questions on that, but yeah, just maybe a little furosemide or Lasix might help you with that. Okay. And yeah, the caffeine in the water pill, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's the Diurex is the name.
Yeah, that could be dangerous for people.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
So I only take like 1 a day, maybe 2. So I think, I'm retaining some of that water. My body got so used to that hydrochlorothiazide, and I was peeing like a racehorse when I would take it. And now I'm like, So yeah. I bet it's the combination. But let's start those things that I mentioned right away, and then all right.
And then I'm when we talk on Wednesday, we can decide which 4 days, and I can change it on your calendar and stuff. Okay. So cool. I'm glad you asked. Yeah, perfect. Karen, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Things settled down now?
Yeah, trying to get back into routine. So.
Right.
But I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Do you have any questions?
Starting to lose now again. So, good. But that was all, off from being sick and then so much going on and off schedule.
Yes.
But yeah. Good. They're settling. So.
Good. That helps too. When your life is in such disarray too, that's stressful too, because you know what you want to do. And so Karen had a house guest that stayed longer than expected. Kind of like when your granddaughter was with you.
Yeah. They're still, They're going to be coming up.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be relegated to the spare room again.
Right. You know, and you want them to come visit, but then again, then you're like, it's really nice when they go home too, because you're like, "Ooh."
Exactly. Yeah, for real.
Yes, because it's not just them, your daughter, you know, it's the husband or the boyfriend and the kids and the dog and the whatever. And yeah, it's true. It's fun though.
Yeah, I'm going there the end of the month. I leave the Friday before Memorial Day. I'll be gone Friday and I'll be back Wednesday. Wednesday during the day. And then they're coming up for a family reunion the week after the 4th. So they're going to be here for probably a week. Of course, then in the meantime, my nephew gets a hold of me and says, hey, would you mind if I come up for the reunion? Would you mind if I stayed with you and maybe bring a guest? And I was like,
Come on
yeah. So
over.
I said, we're going to have to plan for something else here. Because I don't have
Can't
the
have
room.
everybody. Yeah.
I don't have the room. So
yeah.
I don't have the mental capacity to deal
Right.
with that.
You don't have the room up here.
Yep.
Oh no, I get it. You know, you want to, but yeah, you can only do so much.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For, sure.
So, for real.
Right. Well, cool. Yeah, you guys stay in touch. Let me know if you need anything. I'll be posting this. Yes. And then the sheet that I put together too. It's kind of nice to just kind of look back on that. Because we all know those things, but when it's nice to have them in front of you too, where you can just kind of refer, oh, hey, maybe I'm not eating enough vegetables, you know, we need to eat more. Remember when you're filling out your macros, you want to do your vegetables first.
I know, I always forget that. I always get the meat because of the protein, then I get carbs. I'm like, how do I want to space my carbs out? And then all of a sudden I'm like, I want vegetables.
Right. I just chop up a whole bunch and then I have them for most of the week. Oh my gosh, because they're really good, and and the fiber and all that kind of stuff too. So
I made homemade KFC or knockoff KFC coleslaw.
Ooh.
So and used the monk fruit sweetener instead of sugar in it.
Perfect.
So and I use light mayo, like light Hellman's.
Oh, right.
And that way significantly less fat and calories in the light.
How do you like that monk fruit? Does it taste? What's it taste?
It's not quite as sweet. Yeah, it's not quite as sweet as regular sugar, but it has the same texture, and it doesn't have an aftertaste.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
So it's for me, it's the closest thing to sugar so far because it doesn't have that weird aftertaste. But
I agree.
It looks like it, feels like it, it tastes like it. It's just not quite as sweet as sugar, which after a while.
That's good though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes that's too sweet too sweet. And then if it has that aftertaste, you're like, really sugar, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, that's usually what I do. Just decrease the amount because I just
right. Very good.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of coleslaw for the week.
You're gonna have to put that on the Facebook page.
Yeah. Where's all your recipes?
Yeah.
And I keep forgetting to post the yogurt one too. So I'll have to remember to do that.
Your assignment is both those recipes this week.
Okay. I'll do that.
We love them.
I can do that.
Right. Well, you guys have a great rest of your evening, and reach out if you need something.
Will do.
All right, you guys take care.
Nice to see you, Jody.
Yep.
You too. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.